What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Daft beer channel. We have Warren back today from Daft UK. How's it, Warren?
Hey.
It has been a while since we did our last video. We were trying to kind of figure out some video issues, recording issues, and also sound issues. And also with the difference now moving to 2 hours between the UK and South Africa, it's been a bit hard to find the time that we both are available. But here we are, and yeah, we're going to try obviously make more time for this and see if we can get it right. And yeah, because there's been such a long wait, myself and Warren have decided to do a beer that's pretty close to both our hearts, which is the NEIPA. And basically we're going to delve into what is a NEIPA, and is a NEIPA really a NEIPA anymore? It's a debate that myself and Warren have a lot, and because I guess a lot of the breweries, you know, are trying to go for this haze craze that's come out, and everyone's gone mad for the New England haze, and I guess everyone's trying to make a NEIPA with, I guess, not even knowing really what a NEIPA is and what it should be, and are branding NEIPAs on their cans when what's inside the can isn't really NEIPA. What do you think, Warren? I guess from your side?
Yeah. A lot of companies now have worked out that NEIPA is a way to sell a beer, and that's what they're doing. They put NEIPA on a can and NEIPA sells, so people go out, ooh, NEIPA, that's that thing I heard about, those dank beers. And it's breweries that can't even master the IPA, so their hop knowledge isn't that great, and now they're putting NEIPA on the side of the can, and it's 5% if you're lucky sometimes. So yes, these aren't NEIPAs, these are ideals. And, yeah.
No, exactly. And I guess to kind of explain to people what a NEIPA I guess should be, people who don't know at least, I guess a NEIPA is basically a New England IPA. That's what it stands for, New England Indian Pale Ale. It basically originated in the New England area. I guess you could say the Alchemist. I think it's basically the Alchemist were the founders, or at least they made it big through Heady Topper. And then I guess others followed suit, like Treehouse Brewing, Allagash, if I'm not mistaken, one or two other breweries that also followed suit in this whole haze craze, and it basically originated in the New England area, so they dubbed it a New England IPA, which even the Alchemists themselves, they didn't even dub it there in the beginning. I think people were just, don't know who kind of dubbed that name, but it came from that area, the whole haze craze, and it's just a different form of hopping is all. Instead of taking the bitterness out of the hops, they're taking the fruitiness by when they're adding the hops. Instead of adding it, I guess, in the boil, they're adding it near, cooling stages, a lot colder, a lot less in the liquid, so you get less bitterness and more of those fruity esters. So obviously your RBU is a lot lower, but your fruit's a lot higher. And I guess you could also say it's very much a yeast forward beer as well, instead of a original IPA being your West Coast, East Coast, or even British IPA being more of a hop driven with a clearer yeast. The New England's are very much a yeast driven beer.
Yeah, they're basically taking out less of the alpha acids, less isomerization, if you could say, and yeah, not using a traditional ale yeast, and making it nice and hazy and bringing out all the tropical properties.
I guess New England said, no, this is not the end, and we can do this a lot better. We'll now bring hops to another level, and I think almost doubled the hops, dropped the bitterness, doubled the hops, and added a lot of adjuncts like oats and wheat and stuff like that, and then the hops and the yeast basically stay in suspension.
Yeah, so I mean they've
hazy
managed
look.
to basically double the hop bill on any West Coast IPA, and with the current calculations, the calculated IBU of a New England IPA is virtually zero. So for them to be able to do that, to take all those hops and just bring flavor and none of the bitterness is where the New England, why it's taken off, I would imagine, why a lot of people are now rushing out to get their hands on an NEIPA. This is it. This is what they've done now. So, chasing those hops.
So from your point of view, would you call an NEIPA actually in the true sense of an IPA? Do you think they should have maybe dubbed it something else or called it something else and not actually been an NEIPA? I mean, not actually been an IPA, a New England something else? Because I guess a NEIPA seems so far from the original IPA and what an IPA should be.
It's one of those, I mean, from a grain bill point of view, you could say IPA because you're chasing that high initial gravity. You want the alcohol in there, and for that you need the grain bill of an IPA. You couldn't use the grain bill of a normal pale ale because they're not chasing that sugar. They don't want the initial gravity to be that high. So I suppose it is right from
with
that
the sense of the amount of hops they use, but still like the true sense of what we thought was an IPA just seems so far, like it's come to another level now in the last few years.
It's not an IPA. I mean, it's not an IPA in the sense of an IPA. It's its own fish, really.
Anyway, let's get to the drinking. This has been enough talking. So I'm trying 3 basically today. I believe Warren's also going to try 3 beers today, 3 NEIPAs. So I've actually got something from Richmond Hill Brewing Company where they actually call it a hazy pale ale. So I've actually had all 3 of these, and they call this, they actually got NEIPA nowhere on this can. They call it a hazy pale ale, which I respect that because they're not just throwing that NEIPA name out there. You know, instead of just calling it a NEIPA just to sell more, they actually calling it their own, hazy pale ale. And they maybe thought it fell short of a NEIPA, where I've had this one before and I think it's great. So I got a lot of respect for them in that way, and that is Richmond Hill's Brewing Company's Coastal Cult. So that's basically one of the ones I'm trying today. I'm also going to try a bare knuckle boxer NEIPA. So now they put the word NEIPA straight on the can. I will have some sort of picture here at some stage. And that's from OC Brewing Company, which I think they're in Johannesburg. Yeah, Kai Sands Gauteng. So that's from there. And then a Juicy Lucy, also said NEIPA on the can there. So we'll show Juicy Lucy from Devil's Peak Brewing Company, part of their Afro Funk range, which comes out, and they have brought out this quite a few times. So those are 3 I'm trying today. 3, I think, completely different NEIPAs in the sense of the word. And yourself, Warren, what are you trying today?
Right, so we have a few of the well-known breweries in the UK have now, how do you say, they're doing supermarket releases, if you will. So stuff you can only get in supermarkets, or basically they will release it at a specific supermarket, and only that supermarket will carry that specific batch, if you will, that style, that name, that brew. So what we have is from my good bunch of brewers, Northern Monk, we have their Scaffold. That's one of them. This, as you can see, anyone who knows their stuff, looking at the side of the can, 6.5%. It says NEIPA. I have had it before. It's not, it's very good to a NEIPA. Second up, we have another bunch. These guys are Vocation. This is their Love Hate. Again, a NEIPA. These guys, as you can see, again stepping it up, 7.2%. So they didn't skimp on the grains. We have a collab between what a lot of people would call not craft anymore, but they are craft, and people who are really craft. So we have the New England IPA, Brewdog versus Cloudwater. And again, at this one,
I've seen that one,
is 6.8%. So, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start with my Coastal Cult. And I guess the first thing you kind of want to look for is the color of the beer. And the color, is it going to be true to an NEIPA and what a NEIPA should look like? What are you going to try first, Warren?
We'll go in at the Scaffold from Northern Monk. And again, you're looking for color. the first thing you want to do as soon as you open your can is make sure you can smell your hops. If you don't get a smell out the can, you've had it in the fridge too long.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So
I still get a lot of hops from the Coastal Cult, so I'm quite lucky there. Now you'll see from this one, that color is very nice and pale, murky, hazy.
Looking for that pale straw.
Yeah, I must admit they look very similar, the two colors between that one and that, hey?
And again, the nose, a lot of people call a NEIPA dank.
You want a lot of...
You want all your tropics to be jumping out at you.
No, definitely. And a lot of that yeast, you also get quite a bit of a yeast. I don't know if you get, I get that yeast smell as well, which is not a bad thing, but the yeast esters, I get the, you know, yeast can also be fruity, as we've learned from a lot from NEIPAs, is how much fruit they can actually get from the yeast alone.
That's all your Kivik strains and so forth.
That's my first sip of beer today, so I'm quite excited. Oh, that's delicious. It's got so much tropical fruit in there. There's guava, there's pineapple, there's mango, all in here, and it really is. Even some passion fruit. It really is. It's got some. Actually, quite nice about them is it's only 5%. I guess that's why they didn't dub it a NEIPA, which is good because this is. To be honest with you, this Coastal Cult is more NEIPA than a lot of NEIPAs I've had. You know, it's a Richmond Hill Brewing Company. Have done a great job, yeah. They've got Eldorado, Citra, and African Queen, J17, African Queen, your favorite hop.
They got that in here as well. Want. And if it's got J17 in it, you buy it. Doesn't matter.
So it's got those three. It's got London 3 yeast, and it's got Pilsner malts, wheat, and oats. So, and it's hopped 12 grams per liter. So that's quite a lot. 12 grams per liter. So they do a lot of hops, and I guess they haven't dubbed it a NEIPA because I guess the alcohol isn't as high, and they've stuck true to the word. They haven't just plucked the NEIPA or
they knew
on the can. You know what I mean?
They weren't going to put the money, if you will, into the grain bill, and that's it. You can still hop any other beer. You know, it's the grain bill that'll push it up to a NEIPA. Yeah.
And it finishes quite nicely, nice and balanced, but nice and sweet, but also in very low bitterness. Yeah, and you were saying? Yours?
Yeah, this the scaffold, like I said, I mean, it doesn't disappoint. For a supermarket beer, you know, it's not something you have to order specifically from Northern Monk. Yeah, for a NEIPA, it does what it says on the can. You get all your tropics, you get all your your dankness, your fruity esters, the yeast. It's all there. You know, it almost tingles. It's there's no
brilliant.
No other way around it. I'm just trying to make sure.
No, but good things about Northern Monk.
They have Citra, Mosaic, and Simcoe. So again, the hop choice, tropical. They want all the citrus, the tropical coming through, and they've done it. Yeah. It's there.
So you'll definitely class it a NEIPA.
Yes, a NEIPA it is.
Make up your mind, man. Okay, so next up, I'm gonna try the Bare Knuckle Boxer NEIPA from OC Brewing Company. That's obviously a NEIPA that came out, if I'm not mistaken, it came out at the end of last year, but they have made it twice already. So they have, I think this is the second batch. Might have been lying in the fridge a bit, but I guess can't really give too many excuses. So this is a NEIPA. Now this is exactly what we were getting at. So this NEIPA is a NEIPA, but the alcohol is 4.5%.
No,
so less than the hazy pale ale, but they call it a NEIPA. So on here, and that's the sort of thing. And I can see there's haze haze appearance and a whole bunch of extra stuff, mid-burst Quebec yeast. But let me give them a bit of a diet and try it first. Alright, I'm going to try one. What you going to try?
It's good to try. I'll move up the ladder. So we're going from 6.5. We're going over to Brewdog versus Cloudwater at 6.8. This is...
There's the color. You'll see it's a very similar color to the last one. Maybe even a bit more head than the Coastal Cult. But the color, definitely very similar. Alright.
This is where you start to see someone who's old hat at brewing. So you've got people like Northern Monk, they're very good at what they do. And then you go up to people like Brewdog, who've been making beer for forever virtually now on the craft beer scene. And they just streamline everything. So it's still hazy, it's not as hazy. The head is there. It's a perfectly presented beer. You can buy this stuff any day of the week, and you know what you're going to get. That's what they do. They've perfected
for sure.
the mass production of craft, if you will. Doesn't make them bad. They're carbon neutral. So if you're out there for the eco warriors, drink Brewdog. Carbon neutral. Carbon negative, I lie, not carbon neutral.
Brewdog, when are you going to start selling South Africa again? It's been a while. Virtually nothing from the can. No smell in this OC brewery, in this bare knuckle NEIPA. Virtually very little smell from a little bit of granadilla. I do get some granadilla in there. So it's not bad. Smell, nose is not bad, but it could definitely do with more, you know what I mean? But it's not bad. Okay. The taste is there, but there's just lacking. It's almost like they've taken a really good NEIPA and mixed it with soda water. So that's kind of what it's like. It's like a lager. It's like a lager. It's like a New England lager. New England New England IPL.
Nipple.
You know what I mean? Nipple, basically. A New England India Pale Lager. It's more like what it is. It's definitely got a lot more. It's very thin. I mean, a NEIPA should be thick. It's creamy. It's got that mango. It's be like fruit juice. Basically, you're looking for fruit juice. And this, you get that. You do get the granulated smell. You do get the granulated taste, but it's almost just maybe they could have just made it a bit more creamy, a little bit more rich. It's just a bit thin.
So if you look at the ingredients, do they mention any adjuncts? Have they got oats in there? This will help with the mouthfeel.
Hops, barley, water, oats, and yeast. So it also could be the yeast, not the yeast, the wheat. So it's got hops, barley, water, oats, and yeast. So I think maybe it's missing the wheat, which can add a lot. Maybe also not enough oats. Yeah. So maybe they could maybe put a little bit too low on the oats, no wheat, and also maybe a very low grain bill, like you say, or just a lot more water to grain, or maybe even I don't know, maybe their what's the word, effectiveness or whatever, efficiency wasn't that great on the malt itself. So it's just very thin. Yeah, it's actually got a lot of flavor. It's tasty, but it's like a mix with a bit of soda water as well.
Yeah, you'd hope they'd be able to get their efficiency. I mean, I don't believe they'd be brewing off a home kit to get that beer out there. So you can't give them any tickets on efficiency, because you don't want to be making a NEIPA if you can't even get all your sugar out. It's the wrong beer.
But it could just be.
What other beers do they have in their lineup? Is that the only hop forward style, or do they prefer to make? They do have an
IPA. They do have I think it's called the Dictator, if I'm not mistaken. They got an IPA called the Dictator or something like that.
Is that one 4%, or how are they doing?
I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I just think it's got a lot of flavor, but next time I think they just need to give it a bit more. Just give it a bit more oomph. And don't, it shouldn't be called a NEIPA in my opinion. It should be called a, I don't even know if a NEPA, New England Pale Ale, should be enough. It should be, yeah, a lager, a New England lager. Would maybe have been the probably.
No, it cannot deserve the New England name. That is a problem. Same as here. I mean, Brewdog, Cloudwater. Yes, it is a NEIPA, but yeah, it's yes. There are. I mean, Brewdog have done a few collaborations. Cloudwater, Modern Times, all doing NEIPAs. But if you go back to Brewdog's original version of a NEIPA, they're hazy, or now known as OG hazy. That's a NEIPA. That's no holds barred. This is a NEIPA, but it's still a NEIPA, but it's not.
Okay, so last on my list is the Juicy Lucy from Devil's Peak. This is a brewery from Cape Town, and yeah, this one is a 6%, so already tells you, okay, that's 5%, 4.5, and a 6%. At least 6% is pretty much the lowest you can go with a NEIPA, so that's good, but at least it has that 6%. Let's give it a go. Let's see that pour. Okay. Look at that color, slightly more orange, definitely not as pale as the others. But you get that hops smell is ridiculous. Straight from the can, once I opened that can, I already had like this burst of hops into my nose. You know what I mean? I can still smell it now. I'm sitting back and I can smell those hops. And that's what a NEIPA should do. Yeah. What are you gonna?
I'll finish with good old Vocation, the Love Hate, and this one hitting it at 7.2. So you get it straight out the can. A bit overzealous when they filled that, but
you're definitely gonna be a bit more. You're gonna be a bit more hazy when you go to sleep tonight than me.
Yeah, it's hops. It's all the hops. So if you have a look at that, it's you can't even see through that glass. They've packed this. They've packed it with everything they possibly could. I mean, Vocation is known for their brews, specialty stuff. They really do a lot of really good beers.
Oh, nice.
They don't necessarily put their name on something that isn't what it should be. But they, I mean, well, that's, you still can't see through that. So it's not going anywhere. The yeast is doing what it should.
No, definitely. So this one, Devil's Peak, I know they are very secretive, I think, with the hops they use and stuff. They don't like to just give out their recipes, which is fine, because they make really good beer, so I wouldn't blame them. But the smell is amazing. It's just packed with tropical fruits, from granadilla to guava to pineapple. It's just packed with those sort of flavors, and I can get them all from the nose. If I look at this, it doesn't give you much on the ingredients. It's just actually natural malt, hops, oats, yeast, and water. So it doesn't have wheat either, so I guess I can't really give an excuse to the previous one. But yeah, the smell is just gorgeous. It's just so much tropical fruits that hit you in the nose, and this is probably the best NEIPA I've had in this country. And I'm hoping what you're drinking is as good or better than this. But it is the best NEIPA in this country.
Yes.
In my opinion, personal opinion.
I'm not sure how far the NEIPA bus has travelled yet. I know there are some guys in South Africa experimenting with the NEIPA bug. I'm not sure at what level it is, but as I alluded to earlier, we're getting double NEIPAs here at the moment. And
that's crazy.
It
doesn't make me any more happy. It actually does, because I think eventually they'll come here. But
the guys are becoming ridiculous now, chasing the hops. And again, you get the guys who miss it, and you end up with the good old hop burn. So you can have too many hops, but as long as they are used responsibly and in a safe and easy manner, you get lovely drops for
definitely
our lovely craft beer.
This is so well balanced. It's got that tropical fruits. It's got a tiny bit of bitterness just to kind of, break up that sweetness a little bit. I think it could get a little bit sweet after a while if you had too many of them, like in a row. If you have, like, once you get to your second or third, or even, once you're busy with the third one, you might get a bit over sweet. But generally it's a well balanced beer, maybe a bit on the sweet side, but just all those fruits, obviously eventually you're going to hit a point where it's very, very sweet. But overall, definitely a great beer. A great NEIPA, a great example of what a NEIPA should be. So, Devil's Peak, if you are watching, and even Richmond Hill, make a double NEIPA for us, please.
I think the part that'll scare them away is the grain bill, and then the hops.
But to be honest, I don't think much scares Devil's Peak away when it comes to making beer. They're actually very, very good. So I've been very impressed with their stuff. So from this, what's next? I guess where are we going next after NEIPA? Now we've seen what hops can do again. So we thought with the West Coast IPA, we thought that's what hops are going to do. That's what we're going to see. That's going to be the end of it. So now that we know, now we've been blown away with NEIPAs and double NEIPAs. What's next? Is there another step? Is there a new step? Is there going to be another step to what hops can be? Is this all that hops can do? Is this all the way? Is this the utilization that we finally managed to reach the limits of when it comes to a hop? Do you think with these New England styles and the double New England styles, or is there more? As
amount of hops go, there is no. I don't think you can, because they are already reaching the limit, as I alluded to with the hop burn. So,
but we thought that with the West Coast as well. We thought that with the West Coast too. So I thought that was as far as they can do with hops. So
not too much hop burn, at least.
Eventually, you're gonna start eating whole hops. But I guess also, if you look at what yeast has done, I think maybe the next step with a lot of these sort of styles of beers going forward could be the yeast, because the way that, as far as hops have come, I think yeast has probably come further. If you think about yeast, back in the 60s or back in the 70s, even the 80s, 90s, whatever it is, yeast now and how they cultivate it and what they're doing with yeast, especially with the Quebec yeast, it's coming out of, I think it's Norwegian yeast, if I'm not mistaken. And what they're doing with yeast now, can you imagine what they can still do with yeast going forward? Maybe a majority of the flavors they're going to pull out of yeast and not the hops, so maybe that's their next step, is to advance yeast to another level.
Yes, but I think as far as the hop additions are going, the only way they could add more hops is not in the style of a NEIPA, so adding it in again during the boil instead of just flame out or the whirlpool and dry hopping. As I feel with what I've had, they've already hit the limit.
Okay, now I get what you're saying. Okay, but I guess that's a never-ending question, I guess, and we'll have to find out. I guess we don't know those answers, and someone else will come up with something crazy and some ridiculous invention next. But anyway, thanks Warren for joining me tonight. I think it's been a great tasting, and we've tasted some incredible beers. And yeah, I guess we also just spectators on what's going to happen next. Yeah. And cheers, I hope whatever comes out next is going to be just as amazing as the step up to NEIPAs. And here's cheers to NEIPA.
Here we go.
Cheers. Cheers, guys, and yeah, cheers to the NEIPA.
There you go.
Right. Peace.
Thanks for watching again. You can find me and Justin both on Instagram. You can find Justin under Craft or Daft, and you can find me as Craft or Daft UK. Don't forget, hit like, subscribe, it all helps out in the end.
And hit the bell notifications to get any notifications of new videos that we bring out. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.